Welcome, everybody. Hello, this is Dr. Keith with Dads for Life, and we are here for yet another Straight Talk with Parents. We have a wonderful guest this weekend. I tell you, I am so excited about our guest here with us tonight because she is just this wonderful lady who's done so much to be so young. Oh, my goodness. This young lady is Miss Racquel L. Mitchell, and she's been writing since she could talk. Now, isn't that interesting? Okay. But she, after winning several accolades for her talent as a youth, she felt writing came too easily for her and abandoned her gift in pursuit of a greater challenge. And it was that search actually that would lead her to discover her other love, which is numbers, something that I don't deal well with all the time. But ultimately, Ms. Mitchell, who earned a perfect score on her high school English exam, and whose verbal SAT score was 100 points higher than her math score, it would lead her into what she's doing today. It's kind of interesting. And we're not going to take too much from her, but here she is. Miss Racquel Mitchell is a licensed certified public accountant. And before discovering she was still a writer at heart, but a writer who loved numbers and children and God, she wrote a book for children that we're going to talk about tonight, and that is called Penn Pincher Teaches. And you know that we're all about helping kids. So first of all, we're going to welcome you in just a moment, Racquel. I'm going to turn it down to my host down there in Australia, Miss Ariel.
Thanks, Keith. What a lovely introduction. I'm so glad that everyone here is on the line today, and we have such an amazing guest speaker on tonight. So thank you so much for that. I'm really excited to get started. So just a little bit about me. I'm Ariel Wheeler. I'm the founder of iHer Brand. I'm actually a visibility creator, writer, and coach, and I help heart-centered entrepreneurs, and I can imagine there's many of you on the line right now who would like to manifest cash flow on repeat by creating a connected community who repeatedly buys from you. So I'm all excited about hearing stories, and we have an amazing story to tell today. And I'm going to hand that back to Keith because it's absolutely amazing.
Yes, I kind of jumped the gun a little bit, but that's what we do here on Straight Talk. We just roll with the flow. So I apologize to everyone with that. Racquel, you are marvelous. Miss Glenda and I met you over the weekend, and I was just taken back by your work immediately. So tell us why you came up with Penn Pincher Teaches.
First of all, Keith, I just want to thank you and Ariel for having me on the show, and it was such a pleasure to meet you and Glenda this past weekend. Penn Pincher Teaches is kind of what I would call my reaching out to the next generation. I think that a lot of times parents do a great job of teaching our children things early, but not necessarily the good things that they need to learn that's going to sustain them as they grow and as they become adults. And so one of those things is money. You know, kids have the perception that money often grows on trees, but they don't know that there's work behind it. And so the Penn Pincher Teaches brand is really helping children to understand that money doesn't grow on responsibility, and you have to earn the things that you want in life. And that's what Penn Pincher Teaches Allowance is all about.
Wow. So did you actually draw these, by the way, or did you have an illustrator?
I wish. It would save me some money if I could draw like that. My good friend, Marcus Williams, is the graphic artist who did the cover design for the book. And it is phenomenal. And then Baobab Publishing is responsible for the interior decorations.
Oh, well, I tell you, I've been through this actually. And as you and I were talking about earlier about how maybe even parents need to reread this book themselves so they can help their kids, you know, being involved in the school system for a while. Some of the economics teacher actually learned that I had been teaching another course for many years and trying to help parents and trying to help them change the way they did money so it could help their kids. So she had me actually come in and teaching kids about money. So I understand that because a lot of them, they had no concept or no clue. They just said, like you said, grows on trees. Mom, go out there and give me a few hundreds, you know, because I remember as a child, I used to ask for a quarter. They don't do that no more, okay?
Oh, no, it's much more than that now.
More like 5, 10, 15, or 20, right?
Right.
All right, so tell me, Racquel, you came up with 4 characters that I see. There may be more, but tell us about the characters in the book. We have Penny and Billy and Grace and Stuart, right?
Yes, those are my children. So Penny Pincher is the main character in the series, and Penny is based off of an 8-year-old version of myself. So as I shared with you earlier, that the name Penny actually comes from the name Penelope. My father, who passed away when I was 7, his name was Racquel Mitchell. And my mother told me that before I was born, she toyed with the idea of naming me Penelope. I'm glad that she didn't, but the story kind of stuck with me. And so I thought, I want Penny Pincher to be, my family, my environment, kind of reaching out to the world and teaching. And so I thought it was fitting to name the main character Penny, and then the whole Penny Pincher, that would make you think about money. So Penny is this precocious 8-year-old, Penny knows everything. Penny always had money. Penny is always reciting what she learns from her Sunday school teacher or what she learns from her parents. And I think it's so encouraging because a lot of times, you as a teacher or, a Sunday school teacher or a parent, you pour a lot into your kids and you wonder, do they retain any of it? Are they sharing it? And so this is very encouraging because it's encouraging for parents to keep talking to our children because they are listening. And then also they're sharing with others who may not have the same information as well. So that's Penny Pincher. And then there's her best friend since first grade, which is Stuart Cruz. So I like the name Stuart because I was thinking of steward as in like stewardship. And then Cruz, the cross. So steward of the cross. And so, yes. And so Stuart is a Latino, and he's based off of a version of my brother, funny enough. But I wanted to cover as many people as I possibly could. Billy's that guy that, he might do something silly. Billy's the guy with orange hair. His name is Billy Dollar. So I wanted something commercial, but, also playing off of, a dollar bill. And his character is just very funny, sometimes goofy. That's Billy's character. And then there is Grace. Grace Lee is actually the name of one of my close friends who is Chinese. And so I wanted the character to kind of look like her and also kind of resemble her personality. Grace is a little bit, she can be reserved, but she asks like some really deep probing questions. And so you'll see, that Grace will kind of lead in, okay, Penny, well, you get an allowance. How do you get the money to tithe? How do you get the money to do this? She's that character.
Yeah. Well, I was so taken back by it, not because of the material that I actually read it as a child, but because, okay, Ariel, okay, no comment on that one, okay? It's so funny watching Ariel because she gets it like a few minutes later. It seems like because of the delay in our internet, so then she's laughing at me after something else I'm saying. But anyhow, I love the book. Ariel, you're going to love this book. I looked through it. In fact, I enjoyed it so much, Racquel, that I decided I was going to put it in our bookstore, and it is there as of today. So,
awesome. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to go down to Australia if y'all want to come with me, and we're going to talk with my friend, the wonderful brand specialist who's helped Dads for Life this year wonderfully. We love Miss Ariel Wheeler. Ariel, take it away and show us this website.
Absolutely. Okay, just one moment. I will pop up the share screen so everyone will be able to see it. And then once I pop it up, just let me know that you can see it. Okay. We can see the screen, yeah?
It's coming. There
Yes.
it is. All right.
Alrighty, we're in Amazon at the moment. I just wanted to showcase your books first. because we were talking about that and how important it is to have a story, but not only just a story that transcends the page. And it's all about children, and we want to make sure that our children at an early age are getting the benefits of what we've had like 30 years or 60 years or 100 years to experience. So I'm going to hand it back over to you, sweetheart, and tell me exactly what Penny Pincher is and how we can actually get this.
Awesome. So Penny Pincher World is basically inviting you to a simpler time. It's a time where children obey their parents, where children and their parents actually sit together and they talk about money. And they talk about the school day. It's really just an old-fashioned kind of, I call it the 90s babies with the millennial twist. But Penny Pincher is all about helping our kids learn from an early age basic money management tips that, sometimes they don't learn how to write a check. Sometimes they don't learn anything about savings. Sometimes, as we talked about before, they may think that money grows on trees, but mommy and daddy actually work. And guess what? You can help around the house and you can earn an allowance as well. So it's really all about increasing and promoting financial literacy with our youth.
Absolutely. This is such an amazing book. I had this really interesting question since we're talking about your books.
Awesome.
How early do you think, because I have a 2-year-old who's 2 and nearly 5 months now. So when would it be, say, for example, for me, when would be the best time to talk to my children about, money and being financially independent?
I think around the ages of 4, 5, that would be the best time to get them started, because I'm sure somewhere in the cartoons they're watching, they're going to see something about money. And so I think it's a great time to bring that up. You can kind of teach them when you're going to the store and you're taking out your money to buy something, then you can kind of explain to them, okay, this is money, and maybe you can even talk about how you work, so that idea is planted in their heads. But definitely 4 or 5 is a good time to start.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, because I can imagine how many of our viewers right now who would really appreciate that information. So is there some examples in your books that help them with, because obviously we're seeing here a cash register and it looks like something, maybe a Pokemon card or something that we're trading. So does the book actually explain some of those examples?
And I'm glad you asked. In the back of the book, there are tips and suggestions about how the parent can give the children allowance based on their ages. So, for instance, for 0 to 3-year-olds, they mention stickers and things like that. On up to, adolescence, where it's other information like money or trips to, a favorite place or something like that. But that is available to parents as an additional resource.
Absolutely, and we'll get to those tips and tricks in a minute, but I like to showcase your website on that note. So obviously,
okay,
to more serious people who want to learn more about not only just money, because I think that your books are just absolutely amazing, that it's not only just teaching our children, but also reteaching us as parents as well. And maybe we might even learn, a tip or a trick or two. So just explain about your website, please.
Okay. Yep. So the website is welcoming people to Penny Pincher World and kind of explaining to folks that, hey, we're trying to teach kids about money, just the basics, and give them basic life skills as well from a basic Christian perspective, that we're not going to beat you down with any kind of, religion or anything like that. It's basically so that you can get the proper foundation with money and teach your kids. And then there's also the resources that are available to the kids, which are right now the Penny Pincher Teaches books. So currently there are 2 books out. The book on tithing as well as the book on allowance, and there are others in production as well on budgeting, savings, and borrowing. Penny Pincher Academy. And so with this academy, if you'll just scroll down to the bottom, and so it's that middle one there, the Penny Pincher Academy. And so basically that's just talking about how we want this to be more than books. We want to actually educate people. So we want to have a Saturday school program where we can go a little bit more in depth teaching financial literacy concepts to our kids, and then also to have a night school program for adults, because just as you said, there are a lot of people who, when I talk to them, they'll say, oh, I wish we had this for adults. And so that need is out there, and so we want to address that need and help with that. And it's also about helping people to help their children and to help the community. And so that's what the Penny Pincher Academy is for. So there are courses with that, there are workshops, as well as there is the advisory services, which is the third icon there. And there you can receive one-on-one training or personalized group sessions as well. So we really wanted to make this more than just a one-time thing where they read the book, they like the book, but that's it. We want to really help people become financially literate.
Absolutely, and that is so important in our day and age, because I remember in my generation where finance and mathematics wasn't such a big thing because we weren't taught. I can imagine you're probably the same, Keith and Donald, who are also on the line, and some of our viewers here as well. I can imagine we weren't taught at 18 what it was like to, you know, go out and work for money, and what's it like to have a credit card, or what it's like to, you know, purchase your first vehicle and be responsible. Like, what the heck is insurance? We're sitting there at 18, 21 going, what is life insurance? What are all of these things? And I absolutely believe, Racquel and Keith and Donald and all of our viewers on the line, that it is so important to teach our children at such a young age. And I'm absolutely passionate about this, because money is a resource, money is a tool, but it's not taught in the way that needs to be taught, because money is such a great thing. Money doesn't grow on trees as per se, as we all say it, but it does rain money if you allow that to flow. And by teaching our children earlier, so that when they get older in life, they're not living until they're 60 or they're feeling unhealthy or they retire. We want people to retire happy and live a more fulfilling life, rather than being burdened by having such a stressful job, stressful environment, and having such a stressed money story. So I'm absolutely passionate about this. So thank you so much, Keith and Racquel, for coming on today. It's absolutely a pleasure to talk about this, because I'm super passionate about this. Woo, look at me, I'm getting all jittered.
Absolutely. I completely agree with what you said. I believe it's the intro page, we kind of allude to the fact that, you know, we want our kids to grow up and be free. We want them to be free to be who God created them to be. And you can't when you're saddled with debt. You do take jobs that you don't want to take because you feel like you don't have the option to do better. But when you grow up free, I mean, the world is just your oyster, and you can take an artsy job instead of taking the very conservative job, because you don't have to now, because you have choices. That's exactly it.
Absolutely. Okay, so whereabouts can we follow you? Are you on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest?
Yes, I am on Twitter at PENNYP1NCHER. You can also find me on Facebook. It's Penny Pincher, PENNYPINCHER. And of course, you can check out my website. It's www.pennypincherworld.com.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Okay, I think we have just lost Keith. Might be his connection. That is okay. I'm going to stop the share now. And I believe maybe some of our viewers have questions. So I'm just going to quickly open up the floor to anyone who has a quick question to ask Racquel. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly. So if I'm not pronouncing it, forgive me.
Keith's back.
Absolutely. Just going to open up the line. Has anyone got any questions to ask? Yay, Keith is back. Awesome. Donald, do you have any questions to ask?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, Racquel, how long did it take you to complete your first book?
So the first book is Penny Pincher Teaches Tithing, and it literally took me from writing to actually publishing the book only 3 months. And now be aware that this is a children's book, so I had to coordinate with the illustrator as well. And there were at least 12 illustrations in that book, but from June to September, that's all it took.
That's amazing. It's amazing what you put yourself out there to and make it happen. That's really inspiring.
Yes, if you have it in your mind, you can definitely do it. You don't have to waste time. If you want to write, if you want to become an author, if you want to become a published author, it's definitely possible.
Absolutely. Donald, did you have one last question? Because I knew that you were hankering there before when I cut in.
Yeah, and so you have a series of books. So did your second book take longer or the same amount of time?
The second book followed years later, actually. I was discouraged after I wrote the first book. I was so excited to become an author the first time around. I didn't know anything about promoting and advertising. I was just so excited. Hey, I'm an author! And so I experienced a lot of rejection during that time. So there is a 5-year gap between the first book and the second book. The second book I wrote in one day. I wrote it on New Year's Eve, and just one day, just knocked it out. And so now it took me a while to get it published because my first illustrator, he had a project that kind of took off, and so he needed to do that, so I had to find a new illustrator. But it only took me a day to write it. So, yeah.
That's absolutely amazing. You're getting the thumbs up there, my darling.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm going to send it back to Keith because I'm sure that he has some amazing questions to ask you too.
Well, I'm glad that I'm back because I keep getting kicked off here for some reason. I don't understand why. So I assume y'all just kept it going, right, Ariel? That's good. All right. So, Racquel, I was watching Periscope right when I got kicked off, and you're getting really hearted up there, so I appreciate that.
Awesome.
In an audience, I don't know where it's at now, and I didn't see any questions coming through, but I want to kind of reset and just tell everybody, welcome to the Straight Talk with Parents. I am Dr. Keith with Dads for Life, and my co-host in Australia is Ariel Wheeler, and we are here every Monday night at 6 p.m. with a special guest to help you as parents do the best you can in raising the children, which is so important in life. And tonight is our special guest, Mr. Racquel Mitchell, who wrote the book Penny Pincher Teaches, and she wrote a series of books. And Ariel has been just kind of interviewing her while I've been kicked on and off the internet, but I am back. And I want to ask Racquel, where is this going to go? I know you're talking about classes and all. I mean, you're looking to do maybe an audio series at some point, or audio books for children, or any other thing that's really, because I know you, I met you, and the visionary that you are, I know you've got some other plans for this movement, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Dr. Keith. My ultimate goal is to have an animation series. I want us to be in front of children in their homes, having them come back, week after week, or however frequent it can be. But I want us to be in their face, giving them the good information that they need. I think about, Reading Rainbow and some of the other cartoons or, shows that I grew up with as a child. And those are, I'm 35 now, and I still remember them because they taught me a lot. And sometimes I feel like our children today don't have that. And I want them to. I think that we feed them so much bad things, or things that are not necessarily as good for them. And so I want them to encounter, Penny Pincher, and to see diversity. And I want them to see that, you can be a leader. You don't have to do a lot to be a leader, but just speaking up and sharing information, that's leading. I want them to see how, math concepts in school translate to money, in the marketplace and outside of school. That's really what I want. If I could get a show out of it as well, I would do that. But definitely my heart is for an animation series.
Oh,
And I think the audiobooks is a good idea as well. I just want them to see a visual. I want something that's going to leave an impact with them visually, audibly, all of that.
And you have to think today, maybe, because they watch them in the back of their cars, when they're traveling with mommy and daddy, the DVDs or whatever, or, even on everything's downloadable now. But when it comes to that now, even got kids who, early age, they may want it on their iPod or their, their iPhone. So, seeing the younger kids carry around a smartphone.
Isn't it crazy?
Oh my goodness, With me, I would have been happy growing up. I had the cassette tapes, or whatever.
I remember those.
Yeah, or maybe even the big LPs that had cartoons on them or something, I won't go back before that because that'll start dating me. But I do remember, though, cartoons growing up, and I enjoyed them. But now I've seen cartoons get away from really basic cartoon stuff to really violent cartoons, and that really disturbs me. And when I talk to dads, I try to tell them, keep them away from that kind of stuff if possible. It's just, to me, this kind of stuff is positive. It works and it helps them for life, and that's what we're all about as dads for life, is to teach them to help your kids for life and to be there down the road as a consulting parent. I'm just really thankful that you've done this, because you and I talked about some other financial places out there that are doing things, and it's good. But I think the younger you get them, Racquel, the better off you are. So here's the book again, ladies and gentlemen, and it's Penn Pincher Teaches. I have to say that slow, Racquel.
The alliteration.
that will be my public speaking trials from now before I go on stage. Penny Teaches Teachers, so and say it real fast. I'll get better at it.
I believe that we have an internet fail here. We have got some lag there from Keith and from myself, so I do apologise that to all my guest hosts and my guest speaker and the viewers who are online. We'll just wait a little moment just to see if Keith comes back on. Otherwise, we're going to ask Racquel for some amazing tips and tricks to help our kids learn about finance. Okay, he seems to have dropped in and out. That's okay. We are going to skip to some questions. Okay, so what are some of the things, Racquel, that I could teach my daughter now who's 2 and 5 months about money?
I think you can kind of tie it in as you're probably teaching her about numbers and counting things as well. And so you could kind of tie it in with money. So, 1 coin, 2 coin, that sort of thing. That's definitely a way to incorporate money into what you're teaching your daughter. What else? I think that's a good way.
Absolutely. Hey, welcome back in, Keith.
Sorry.
Do you have any savings tips that we can impart on to us parents as well, with maybe buying Christmas presents or an Easter present or perhaps a birthday present or even a holiday? What's some of your best tips there?
I would say maybe, I'm not going to tell you not to get a traditional gift at all. Do that. But always make sure that you're also incorporating learning material. So if there are workbooks, like math workbooks that you could give to your children, and so you could show them where they're using numbers, teach them with money. For example, if you have, $1, $2, that sort of thing, just use the book and supplement dollars and for currency instead of the numbers. That's one thing. Another thing is also to open up a savings account for your child and deposit something weekly. Now, whatever amount, that's up to you, But when you get the statements, whether it's electronically or in the mail, share those with your child. Explain to them about interest, what it is, why you get it, that sort of thing, and let it build up the anticipation for that money growing. And that's another way that you can use it as well. And then for older kids, I would suggest this, that you maybe share one bill, like a telephone bill or something like that. Use that bill just to show that, hey, parents really do have a responsibility here. And that just gets them used to the idea that, okay, I'm using this phone, but it does cost money, that sort of thing. So I wouldn't suggest, a heavy bill, just a real easy bill. That way they're aware of the expenses in the home, and they can see every month, if you show them the bill every month, they can see how it's paid, and maybe you can talk to them a little bit about responsibility and that sort of thing.
Absolutely. There's some really great tips there for all of our viewers. When I go shopping with my daughter, we show her everything on the list. I know she's only 2 and 5 months, but it's important for her to engage and experience the world that's around her, because sooner or later she's going to be in it, and she's going to be even more curious about, why we go grocery shopping and what all of these fantastic things are sitting on our shelves. But when I take her grocery shopping, I make sure that she's fully engaged, meaning I don't let her run around and, what kids do, but make sure that when we do it, we have my phone, we have my calculator, and every time we go, oh, Silo, how much does that cost? Or, oh, that's $1 for that. Oh, what's that? That's Snappy. So I do believe it's really important to have that engagement with our children, ensuring that their engagement is not only just fun, but it's also educational, and it's teaching them a life lesson. So like Keith always says, get them in early, teach them things early. First, by the time that they're in year 9, they know how to iron, they know how to at least wash your car or wash their clothes and be more interactive with the world. And I think that's a really important thing. And I really like this penny pincher. My goodness, I'm going to recommend it to everybody that I know.
Awesome.
I want to go out there and buy it for my daughter right now. And because she's at that age, she's super intelligent. She's reading already. So I was like, yes, get her into this book early. Like he says, get them in early, teach them early, instill that early. So thank you so much. I'm so pumped to be here and really talk about this, because money is such a great topic to talk about. It shouldn't be a scary topic, right, Keith and Donald and all of our viewers on the line? Absolutely. We got some nods here, so that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was never taught that. My dad died when I was 11 years old, and my mom, I went right to work and started giving my mom all my commissions because I didn't understand it. I didn't know, but I knew she had bills. I remember something you were talking about, Racquel, about teaching them early. And the reason it kind of struck something in my mind about a parent that I heard her talk one time about her child. They were paying her cell phone bill or until they got the bill the first month, and it had 3,500 texts on it, and it went over a limit. So I think they learned really quick that maybe they shouldn't just trust her with just an open checkbook, so to speak, on a cell phone. Or the kid I saw one time when his mom was with her back to the cart, and he was throwing all the cereal in there he wanted. Well, that's why they put it on their level, so they can just drag it right off the shelf,
Right. Right.
So it's so important to teach them early. Don, do you have another question that's come up, or anyone else that might join in, or on Periscope if Glenda has that happened? So I'm sorry, I'm kind of limited tonight. Now I'm on my straight phone because my internet keeps going out. So, but just wanted to see if we had any more questions. If Ariel, you don't have anything else, we'll wrap it up. But see there, Racquel, I mean, look, you're in UK, going to UK, you're in Australia now. I mean, look, you're just already girl.
This is incredible. This is absolutely outstanding, and what a privilege to be able to talk with your viewers about this very important topic. And I think one of the things that Ariel said really is key, and that's about making sure that we have teachable moments with our children. Any practical experience can become a teachable moment, and we have to make sure that we're doing that with money as well.
Mm. Well, it's like the dad that went to the grocery line with his son, and his son saw the cashier, gave him more money back than deserved. And the dad looked at he turned around and he handed it back to her. And the child thought, well, wait, Dad, why not? You know, it's just extra money. And that was a teachable moment because he had to teach him that honesty is truly the best policy. Mm-hmm. And, you know, because if we don't teach them about money, the world is going to teach them about money.
Absolutely.
It certainly will, because they'll teach them, if you don't have it or saved up for it, it's going to be hard to get it unless you go into a lot of debt. And I've seen even kids come right out of college with just $50,000, $60,000, $75,000 in debt. It's just incredible. So I really appreciate the work you're doing to help a child with their financial literacy. And we're going to be partnering more at Dads for Life and Penny Pincher Teaches. I got it right.
Yes, you did. You did.
So, all right. So here's one question that's coming in. All right. So how can you teach your kids at a younger age to save more? Because all they want is right now. You know, they really truly think that the money grows on the trees. How can you say, no, we're just going to save for it?
It's about making them aware of delayed gratification. You have to tell them that mommy and daddy have to save in order to get whatever big budget item that they have. And so the same thing applies to them as well. In the Penny Pincher Teaches Savings book, they are trying to save up for a guitar set. They know that their parents aren't going to get that for them because they didn't use the drum set that they asked for previously. And so it's not educational, so they're not going to do that. But their parents will allow them to purchase it if they save for it. And so it's those kinds of things. You can use, you know, a non-essential item just to teach them savings. But I would also encourage people to really think about teaching kids the 70-10-10-10 rule, 10% to God, 10% to yourself, and then, you know, the 70% for everything else. I think I skipped something. But essentially, you know, basically having, you know, you give, what you save, and then what you spend, that sort of thing. And I think you have to start with that early.
Yes, it is, you know, and not everybody agrees with that, probably because they didn't grow up with it. So it's a learning moment even for adults sometimes. You know, in teaching the many, many financial classes that Ms. Glenda and I have taught, there's those aha moments that some of them get that say, wow, you know, even when you save up and you got the cash, you can actually get a better deal sometimes.
Yes,
you can. Yes, you can. So, well, anyway, Ariel, got anything else before we wrap up with Ms. Racquel? We might have to her back when she writes about, you know, another few books. We'll bring her in and talk about some
I would
books.
love that.
Well, actually, we haven't got through all of them tonight. I don't think. She's got a lot of them out there, but I just appreciate your enthusiasm and your passion, and we will be talking about how we can work together again real soon. So, all right, Ariel, say so long from Australia.
I'm just absolutely blown away by Racquel and her books. They're just absolutely amazing. And it's great to know that there's someone out there in the world who is just as passionate as what I am, probably more passionate than what I am, about teaching kids about money and instilling that education at such an early age, as well as teaching us parents. And it's not every day that you walk in to a place and find someone who actually truly, 1,000-ly, infinitely believes that they can make a difference in the world. So thank you so much for making that change in the world.
Oh, thank you.
You're
well,
welcome.
I'll tell you what. You have really touched the heart tonight, and you know, I just love it when everybody is out there reaching kids and teaching kids the best they can. And that's why I created Officer Keith. You know, that's because I was so tired of the negative out there, and about police. I know that if we teach them early to respect, you know, we can teach our kids, like Ariel said, you know, even Tyler is just smart already. I mean, my 3-year-old granddaughter picked up her mom's iPhone and saw my name and just opened it up. And here I'm FaceTiming with my 3-year-old granddaughter.
Wow.
You know, I'm going, oh my goodness. I mean, it blew me away. But, you know, these kids are smart. So we have to teach them with love the proper way to do things. And I'll tell you what, you, my friend, you're on the right track. And I appreciate you so much, Racquel, for coming on our show. And you will be back at some point. So, ladies and gentlemen, well, one more thing, Racquel. Anything that, if one thing you could get across to parents tonight, what would it be about teaching your kids about money?
The earlier, the better. Don't let TV teach them. Don't let the world teach them. You teach them. And you don't have to be a finance expert. Just teach them what you know. And the best way to teach them is to lead by example.
Absolutely. Well, you're just amazing. I just appreciate you so much for coming on our show. And I'm working on some other venues for you, so we will be in touch, okay?
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, that's going to wrap it up for tonight's Straight Talk. We have been talking to the Miss Racquel Mitchell, and she is an amazing financial accountant that's helping these kids out there learn about teaching money, and it's wonderful what we've been talking about. So we're going to have her back. So and remember, the earlier the better, parents. The earlier the better in anything. Teaching them, not yelling at them, not screaming at them about it, but teaching them in love.
Yes.
Raise them up in the way they should go, so when they're old, they will not depart.
That's it.
There you go. So until next time, this is Dr. Keith with Dads for Life and my co-host down in Australia, Miss Ariel Wheeler. And we are come to you every Monday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on Straight Talk. We have a Facebook page. Ariel, tell them about that real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually have a very newborn Facebook page about Straight Talk with Parents. So basically our Facebook page is there for everyone who would love to get some tips and tricks about teaching and helping our children by encouraging them and enriching their lives. But ultimately we're here to be the example. So if we're going to be the example of our children, why not get some help? So that's what the Straight Talk with Parents is about, is helping parents deal with our children and have that education to help us when we're stressed so that we can educate our children better.
And we keep pressing through, my friends. That's why even through the internet struggles tonight, we are at the end of our show. We thank you again, Racquel. We will be in touch. Until next time, this is Dr. Keith saying, parents, go out and encourage, enhance, and enrich someone in your life today or tomorrow, making sure we start with our kids because they truly do need it the most. And don't forget to hug them and tell them that you love them daily. Till next time, bye-bye.